What is up, Vima Nation? Josh here, bringing you this video, quick little video on taxes. All right, a lot of you guys know that we get some tax breaks, we get write-offs, we have all these special benefits, but most of you guys probably don't know exactly what that entails. So I'm here to bring you this short little video on taxes. All of this stuff is based right out of Glenn Polson's book, How to Deduct Almost Everything. If you haven't read it, it's like an hour read. It's only $15 and it will save you thousands of dollars. So definitely get that. But the whole concept of the book is everything is cheaper with the deduction. Alright, let me say that again. Everything is cheaper with the deduction. Alright, and what I mean by this is that he introduces these concepts of before tax dollars that we get to spend that we're not taxed on. Alright, so anyways, I'm going to go into it. A lot of this stuff is also just like Robert Kiyosaki, when he mentions in Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's not about how much money you make, but how much money you keep. Alright, and that's another big thing. So, if most of you guys don't know, the tax bracket in the United States is a bracket, or oh my gosh, wow, a bracketed tax system. Alright, what I mean by this is that, based on your income, you get taxed a certain percentage. Alright, and so most families fall around 25-30%, depending on how much income they have. And that means for every $1,000 that you're making, you got to write off, or you have to pay the IRS, pay the government 30% of that. Alright? And so I don't know how much you guys work at a crappy minimum wage job, but that sucks, because when you're only making $7 an hour, that means you're truly making $4.50 or $5 an hour. Alright? So what most people don't know is that when you own your own business, when you're in multi-level marketing, instead of writing off Schedule A taxes, you actually get Schedule C taxes. Alright? And the big difference between that is how much you can write off, what you can write off. Alright? What this allows us to do is write off our travel expenses, write off our dinner expenses, write off our plane tickets. It actually allows us to write off 55 cents per mile. It's a standard government rate, alright, for your car that you're driving. Your house expenses, all these different expenses, as long as it's business related. Alright? And so, I heard this girl that went out to Hawaii for a whole week. She spent 4 hours a day out there prospecting, talking to new people on the beach, doing whatever, and the rest of the time just chilling, relaxing in Hawaii. And she got 30% of that back at the end of the year. She got to write off, I think it was like $10,000. She got to write off and get $3,000 of that back. That's a crazy concept to me, alright? If you're not listening, if you're not taking notes right now, you better start. Now's the time, alright? So the next thing I want to talk about is the creation of wealth. Alright? If you've ever read anything by Robert Kiyosaki, he's a great speaker on investing. Alright, real estate investing, all this other stuff, investing. And while that's all great, and that's a good way to get out of the rat race, you need to have capital to invest. Alright, he was talking about spending $50,000 on this house and getting, $5,000 back a year. So it takes 10 years to return on investment. That's a long time. And what we have here with Vima is a way that you can actually make money by writing off your taxes, your legal, business deductible expenses, alright, and by building residual income. So I'm going to throw out this example that Glenn uses, alright. He said, let's say that you get to write off $18,000 a year in business expenses. In the big scheme of things, that's really not a ton of money. That means that you get $6,000-ish, all depending on the percentages, but it usually averages around 30%. You get $6,000 back, alright? And that means that you're making about $500 a month by writing off business deductible things, alright? To put that in perspective, you would have to have $200,000 making 3% annual interest in an annuity or a trust fund or mutual fund, whatever, to make the same amount of money per month. $200,000 sitting in there in the bank to make you $6,000 a year. That's wild to me. Alright, we can make that much money, alright, relative to how much is in the bank. Alright, so that was a big concept for me, and really made me take this serious. So, I'm going to bring up another concept that he talks about before tax dollars. Alright, what he talks about before tax dollars is money that, since you're writing it off, it's not being taxed. It's not being taxed. If it's a business expense, If it's not income, it's not being taxed. So, he uses an example. Let's say that I want to go out and buy a $1,000 computer. All right, let's say that, I work at, Burger King or wherever. I pay $1,000 for that computer, but I truly have to make $1,429 in order to afford that computer. All right, that's because 30% of it, I pay out to the government. So I actually have to make $1,429 to pay out that computer. Let's look on the other side of things. If I own my own multi-level marketing company or my business, I only have to pay or make $700 because I'm getting $300 back at the end of the year with the tax deduction. All right, so if I pay $1,000, it's a business expense. I make 30% of that back, and I only end up really spending $300. It's almost like a mail-in rebate, like you just get money back in the mail. How sweet is that? And everything. All right. So, how do we do this all? How do we file all of this? Isn't taxes complicated? My dad takes days to do taxes, hours and hours and hours upon hours. This is not hard, guys. All you have to do is keep a record of your receipts. All right. I started something a couple months ago that I call my receipt book, and it has all my receipts in it. It has who, what, when, where. It's nothing fancy. All right, but it has all my receipts stapled in the bottom. It has my purpose, and what this is audit proof. All right, if I ever get audited for writing all this stuff off, all I have to do is show them this book, and I can account for every single dollar that I write off. What this also allows me to do is file taxes really quickly. In the end of his book, he shows the section, which is the actual Section C tax form, where you do all of your write-offs. All right. And all of those have different sections for house expenses and car payments and all this other stuff that you're writing off. If I keep track of all of those, in each category in my folder at the end of the year, I just total all of those up, put them in the tax form, send my tax sheet out, and I'm done. That fast. No more hours and hours and hours and days and days and days. And so, pretty much, if you don't feel like doing that, or you're worried about getting audited or whatnot, which is, it's a true scare. I wouldn't want to get audited. Find a professional to prepare your taxes for you. Make sure that they check out. Don't just find, oh, my uncle, he's done taxes before. Find an actual person to manage your money and have them prepare your taxes for them. Even if it means giving them your tax book or your receipt book. If that's what it takes, let it be. You want to get the most money out of your tax deductions as you can. And it will definitely make you money in the long run if you find a professional to write your taxes. This is your money, guys. Don't let the government take your money. They gave you all of these tax breaks to reward you for owning your own business. All right. And so, last but not least, guys, my biggest piece of advice to you: buy Glenn Polson's book. All right, he's never told me to say this before. He's not like he's in the other room. He's going to pay me for saying this. Buy his book. All right, it's $15 or $20 or whatever with shipping. It will save you so much money in the long run. All right? This is your knowledge. This is your understanding. You have to know this in order to control your money. Don't let the government push you around with taxes. Keep all the money that you make. Let's make one big YPR tax movement. All right? I'd love to see the YPR pulled up. My team saved $130,000 in taxes this year. How sweet would that be? But with that, guys, keep it real. If you have any questions, comment on the video or whatnot. I'm not a professional. I probably made a few mistakes on here. Forgive me, but if you have a correction, comment it below or whatnot. But with that, guys, rack 'em. I'll see you later.